Welcome to our deep dive today. We're going to be taking a deep dive into the world of Stanislav Grof. And he's a fascinating figure in psychology. And we're going to be looking at his work with LSD psychotherapy using excerpts from his book, LSD Psychotherapy. I have a feeling you're going to find it pretty intriguing.
Intriguing is a good word for it, yeah. Grof was really a pioneer in this field. He was really trying to bridge that gap between scientific methodology and then what people were actually experiencing during these sessions.
You might be wondering, how could LSD possibly be used in therapy? For a period of time, it was explored as a potential tool, and Grof meticulously documented its uses. So what kind of therapeutic applications did he focus on?
Well, he found that LSD could be surprisingly effective in treating a range of conditions, especially those that, didn't really respond well to the conventional therapies at the time. So we're talking about things like neuroses, addiction, even psychosomatic illnesses, so where the mind affects the body.
It makes you wonder if that mind-body connection is stronger than we realize. So what was Grof's approach to using LSD in these therapeutic settings?
Well, he actually experimented with a lot of different therapeutic frameworks, but one that really stands out is his psychedelic therapy, which involved a series of LSD sessions, sometimes combined with music and art, and really guiding patients on a journey through their unconscious mind.
So this wasn't just about lying on a couch and talking things out.
No, not at all. Grof felt that traditional talk therapy sometimes struggled to get past these really deep-seated emotional blocks or traumas. And you believe that LSD could really help patients access and process those experiences more directly, almost like a catalyst for the therapeutic process.
That brings up a question for me, was there a particular type of experience that people had during these sessions? Was there a pattern to it?
Well, he noticed these recurring themes and patterns, which he labeled transpersonal experiences. And so some patients relived past traumas. Others experienced these symbolic births or deaths, encounters with archetypal figures. Some even felt this really profound sense of interconnectedness with the universe.
Okay, hold on. Archetypal figures, you say. Can you give me an example? I'm having trouble picturing that.
Sure. So think of figures like the hero, the mother, the trickster, these really universal representations of human experiences that pop up in stories and myths across cultures. And so patients would encounter these figures in their LSD sessions, often reflecting their own personal struggles and transformations.
So encountering a figure like the hero might represent overcoming an obstacle.
Precisely. It's like the LSD helped patients tap into this kind of collective unconscious, bringing forth these symbolic figures that really embody deeper psychological processes.
That's fascinating. But were these transpersonal experiences, as intense as they sound, actually beneficial?
Well, Grof believed they were. While they were often challenging, he argued they held huge therapeutic potential. Confronting past traumas in this way could lead to emotional release. Symbolically experiencing death could help patients come to terms with their own mortality. And that feeling of interconnectedness, that could even ease feelings of isolation.
It's starting to feel like we're uncovering this whole hidden dimension to the human experience. Did Grof ever talk about how these sessions, especially the ones with the artwork, changed people even after the LSD wore off?
He did. He argued that these experiences could lead to lasting personality changes, increased self-awareness, and a greater appreciation for spirituality. And the artwork. Well, that's a whole other story. That's where things get even more interesting.
Okay, now you've really got me hooked. Let's dive into that artwork next. You've actually seen some of the pieces created during these sessions, right?
I have. And I think you're going to be amazed by what these patients were able to express.
All right, you mentioned these artworks being captivating. Can you, paint a picture for us? What did these paintings actually look like and what made them so insightful?
Well, imagine a mix of these abstract landscapes, almost otherworldly in their colors and forms, and then incredibly detailed figures and scenes. Some are quite beautiful, even mesmerizing, while others are a bit more unsettling.
Okay, so visually striking for sure, but you said they were insightful. How so?
Well, what's fascinating is the recurring symbolism. Remember we were talking about archetypes? Well, many of the paintings featured these figures like gods and goddesses, mythical creatures from all sorts of cultures.
So not necessarily the same figures, but similar types.
Exactly. Think of it as tapping into this universal well of imagery. So a patient might depict a powerful goddess, while another might paint a wise old man, both kind of representing similar themes of guidance or authority. It's like they were visually expressing those really universal human experiences, creation, destruction, transformation.
Okay, now I'm really starting to see the connection between these LSD experiences and the artwork. Were there any other common themes that emerged?
Yeah. Many paintings and drawings also depicted scenes of birth, death, and rebirth, often intertwined with some really intense emotions. Remember Grof's idea of perinatal matrices, those different stages of birth?
Right, you mentioned those earlier. To be honest, I'm still a bit fuzzy on what those are exactly. Could you break that down for me?
Sure. It's his term for like the imprint that those stages, especially the trauma of being born, can leave on our subconscious. It's like those intense early moments can really influence our experiences and behaviors later in life, even if we don't consciously remember them.
So some of these artworks were almost like these visual echoes of the birth experience.
Precisely. The LSD seemed to bring those memories and emotions to the surface, and the artwork provided a way to express and, potentially process them.
I'm curious, were these literal depictions of babies and birth canals or more symbolic?
It really varied. Some patients did create literal depictions, but others went for a more abstract approach. Imagine swirling colors and shapes that could represent, like, amniotic fluid or these constricted forms breaking free, symbolizing the passage through the birth canal.
That's a powerful image. It really highlights this idea that our subconscious holds on to these experiences, even if we don't have conscious access to them.
Absolutely. And Grof argued that these unconscious memories and emotions, especially from those perinatal stages, can have a significant impact on our lives, like influencing our relationships, our fears, even our creativity.
This makes me wonder what other hidden depths might be within us just waiting to be explored. But hold on a minute. Back in part one, we talked about how the use of LSD in therapy was controversial and ultimately stopped. So, how do we apply these insights today without resorting to psychedelics?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's something we'll explore next. Because even though the tool itself is no longer used, Grof's observations about the subconscious mind, those perinatal matrices, and the potential of transpersonal experiences, those are still relevant today.
So we've been on quite a journey exploring LSD's potential in therapy and the incredible artwork it inspired. But now I'm really curious about what we can take away from all this, even though LSD psychotherapy isn't practiced anymore. What's the lasting impact of Grof's work?
It's interesting, isn't it? The tool itself may be off the table, but Grof's observations about the subconscious, those perinatal matrices, and the power of these transpersonal experiences, those ideas still hold a lot of weight.
Okay, let's unpack that a little. How do we apply these insights to our lives without LSD?
Well, I think one key takeaway is the understanding that our early experiences, especially those surrounding birth and infancy, they can have a really profound impact on our psychology, even if we don't consciously remember them.
So, in essence, we're all carrying around this hidden baggage from those earliest moments.
Precisely. And that baggage, it can manifest in all sorts of ways. Fears, anxieties, relationship patterns. Grof's work really encourages us to kind of delve into those deeper levels to understand the roots of our emotional and behavioral patterns.
That makes sense, but how do we actually do that without psychedelics?
Well, there are other paths to explore. Some therapists use techniques like breath work, body work, even hypnosis to access altered states of consciousness. It's not about replicating the LSD experience exactly, but it is about tapping into those deeper levels of awareness.
So, different tools, but a similar goal, reaching those hidden parts of ourselves.
Exactly. And even without those specific techniques, traditional talk therapy can still be incredibly valuable in uncovering and addressing the impact of those early experiences.
It sounds like Grof's research, though focused on LSD, has had ripple effects throughout the field of psychotherapy.
Absolutely. It encourages therapists to kind of look beyond the surface, beyond just the presenting symptoms, and to consider the deeper, often unconscious factors that are contributing to a person's suffering. To look at the interconnectedness of the mind, body, and spirit.
Wow, that's a lot to think about. It's like there's this whole hidden universe within each of us just waiting to be explored.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. Grof's work really expands our understanding of what it means to be human. It suggests we're not just limited by our conscious minds, but capable of experiencing this much wider range of realities and possibilities.
And perhaps even without LSD, we can tap into some of those possibilities through therapy, through creativity, through self-exploration.
Precisely. Maybe that's the biggest takeaway from all this. There's always more to discover, more to understand, more to experience within ourselves.
It makes you wonder what other secrets our minds hold. If LSD could unlock such profound experiences, what does that tell us about the nature of consciousness and the untapped potential within each of us? That's something to ponder as we conclude this deep dive. Until next time.